Hey everybody, glad to have you back. This morning we are going to read another story. It is another one of my favorites growing up, and I have actually had this since I was 8 years old. I have a note in the book from my teacher in second grade, which is just super crazy. You want to see the note? There it is from Mrs. Henniger. Anyway, this book is called The Mysterious Tadpole. So I am going to show you the pictures of the book while I read it. There are some pages that don't have pictures, and so I'm just going to kind of let you look at the pictures for a minute so that you can see what's going on, because the pictures are fabulous and they tell a big part of the story without any words. So make sure that you're paying attention to the pictures as you're listening to me read it.
The Mysterious Tadpole by Stephen Kellogg. Uncle McAllister lived in Scotland. Every year he sent Lewis a birthday gift for his nature collection. "This is the best one yet," cried Lewis. The next day he took his entire collection to school for show and tell. "Class, this is a tadpole," said Mrs. Shelbert. She asked Lewis to bring it back often so they could all watch it become a frog. Lewis named the tadpole Alphonse. Every day, Alphonse ate several cheeseburgers. Lewis found that he was eager to learn. When Alphonse became too big for his jar, Lewis moved him to the sink. After Alphonse outgrew the sink, Lewis's parents agreed to let him use the bathtub. One day, Mrs. Shelbert decided that Alphonse was not turning into an ordinary frog. She asked Lewis to stop bringing him to school. By the time summer vacation arrived, Alphonse was enormous. "He's too big for the bathtub," said Lewis's mother. "He's too big for the apartment," said Lewis's father. "He needs a swimming pool," said Lewis. "There is no place in our apartment for a swimming pool," said his parents. Lewis suggested that they buy the parking lot next door and build a swimming pool. "It would cost more money than we have," said his parents. "Your tadpole will have to be donated to the zoo." The thought of Alphonse in a cage made Lewis very, very sad. Then, in the middle of the night, Lewis remembered that the junior high had a swimming pool that nobody used during the summer. Lewis hid Alphonse under a rug and smuggled him into the school. After making sure that Alphonse felt at home, Lewis went back to bed. Every morning, Lewis spent several hours swimming with his friend. In the afternoon, he earned the money for Alphonse's cheeseburgers by delivering newspapers. Meanwhile, the training continued. Alphonse learned to retrieve things from the bottom of the pool. Summer vacation passed quickly. Lewis worried what would happen to Alphonse now that the school had reopened. As soon as the first day ended, he ran to the junior high. The students were getting ready for after-school activities. Lewis arrived just as the first swimming race began. Alphonse was delighted to see all the swimmers. "It's a submarine from another planet," bellowed the coach. "Call the police! Call the Navy!" "No, it's a tadpole," cried Lewis. "He's my pet." The coach was upset and confused. "You have until tomorrow," he cried, "to get that creature out of the pool." Lewis didn't know what to do. On the way home, he met his friend, Miss Severs, the librarian, and he told her his problem. Miss Severs went back to the junior high school with Lewis, but when she saw Alphonse, she was so shocked that she dropped her purse and the book she was carrying into the swimming pool. Alphonse retrieved them. Then Miss Severs telephoned Lewis's uncle McAllister in Scotland. He told her that he had caught the little tadpole in Loch Ness, a large lake near his cottage. Miss Severs said, "I am convinced that your uncle has given you a very rare Loch Ness monster." "I don't care," cried Lewis. "He's my pet, and I love him." He begged Miss Severs to help him raise enough money to buy the parking lot near his apartment so that he could build a swimming pool for Alphonse. Suddenly, Miss Severs had an idea. In 1639, there was a battle in our city's harbor, she said. A pirate treasure ship was sunk and no one has ever been able to find it. But perhaps we can. The next morning, Miss Severs and Lewis rented a boat. In the middle of the harbor, Lewis showed Alphonse a picture of the treasure chest. Alphonse disappeared under the water. Lewis and Miss Severs bought the parking lot. They hired some helpers. And when the pool was completed, all the children in the city were invited to swim. That night, Lewis said, Alphonse, next week is my birthday, which means that we've been friends for almost a year. Far away in Scotland, Uncle McAllister was also thinking about the approaching birthday. While out hiking, he discovered an unusual stone in a clump of grass and sticks. A perfect gift for my nephew, he cried. I'll deliver it in person. Uncle McAllister arrived at Lewis's apartment and gave Lewis the present. Lewis couldn't wait to add to his collection. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the stone. The end.
I hope that you enjoy the story as much as I do, and again, that your day is fantastic. See you next time.